Ooh, I'd like to introduce you this morning to Miss Megan Perry, who was an educator for years, and now she is a highly esteemed Christian educator, ministry director at Group Baptist Church, and she works with many, many children and parents. So I thought she might be a key person. We're not pretending we're doing clinical research here. We're just giving observations about what we see in our culture. Megan, as the culture has shifted and seems a bit chaotic out there, um, many, I just wonder what you see in the way of children's responses to that, what they struggle with.
I think cultural chaos is really such a spot on phrase because we do live in a world where children are bombarded with messages of do what feels good, you do you, live your truth, live your best life. And while a lot of these things sound great as platitudes, if we all just do what it is that we want to do with really no foundation, no moral compass, what is truth? Um, that's not the kind of world that I want to live in or I want my children to live in. Um, and I think we've seen that more and more, that cultural influence from social media, from mainstream media, from things that are happening in schools. There's a lot that is really bombarding children right now. And it starts even with the very young ones.
Does Well, do you believe um, that we have tools as Christians, as ministers of of Christianity to these children to some way or another help protect them or to help give them a way forward in all this confusion? How do we guide and direct them?
I think probably the most important thing when I think about how we help equip and protect our children, we have to live in this world, but we don't have to be of the world. And I think the best way that we can prepare our children is to make sure that they have the solid foundation of what truth really is. And when we introduce God's truth to kids and we want to keep pointing them back to that, you know, kids have to trust what God's truth is. Well, in order to trust what it is, they have to know it. And a lot of that is our job as educators, as parents, as ministry leaders, and even those who are content creators for children. We are providing that foundation. We have to go back to scripture for our basis for everything so that we can help kids really craft that worldview of this is what's going on around us, but this is what I know to be true. So I think truly exposure to the same message, repetitive from a very young age. And, I'm really thankful that there are resources out there for parents and families and schools to keep bringing their children back, whether we're talking about a board book for a small child or some, literature curriculum that's been prepared for older children. Um, there are things out there for families as tools. Sometimes we just have to look.
Thank you for that. Yes, I believe firmly in Ephesians 6, and it tells us that we have to put on the armor of God. And we know as adults that our little babies can't do that for themselves. So it's our job. So, how do we do that? Marjorie Wingard, who is not with me today, um, but she and I together wrote some little children's books that are not just stories to entertain, though we hope they will entertain as well, but they're concept books to teach biblical principles. And we felt strongly that if we show the children those biblical concepts that contrast with what is going on in the world, then perhaps they will be able to be shielded and throw off some of the things that are going outside of that. They can say, that's not what the scripture says, as they have marinated in it, they have grown up in it, they have been taught, they have been read to, they have been prayed over, they've been sung over, all those things, I believe, because we learn and we grow differently. The older we get, the more we absorb. But it is that repetition of God's truth that I believe creates that armor. And so we're excited about our latest book, the fourth of the series, Cornerstone Concepts for Kids, called Who Am I? And that's a universal question. And many of us have asked that, who am I and what am I doing here? You know, and it can be a life altering, very disturbing question. But if children grow up with the confidence and the trust in the loving Father that created them, who knew them before they were even born, who gifted them with their talents and their abilities and the essence of who they are. They're made in his image. He has good plans and purposes. And that's a message that we need to just continue to lay on our children. So we're hoping that our little story, Who Am I? And if I had a copy, I would hold it up, but it comes out October 10th. So we will be sending out graphics and book covers and things to show you in advance of that. And we hope that everybody will be excited to be able to use that. Make a nice Christmas gift or birthday present because everybody needs to have this message. And we know that there are other things, but this is just one more little tool that we hope will help prepare our children to face our world, our ever changing, shifting world. So we thank you today, Megan, for joining us
Of
and
course.
sharing your perspective. And we hope to see you soon.